Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakya Chakshurunmritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to our ISKCON Bulla official YouTube channel. Today I am going to discuss 12th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, in which there is description of death of Vrtrasura. In first 6 verses, there is description of height. So after Vrtrasura finished speaking, he released his trident against King Indra with great anger, but Indra, using his thunderbolt, which was many times more powerful than the trident, broke the trident to pieces and cut off one of Vrtrasura's arms. Nevertheless, Vrtrasura used his remaining arm to strike Indra with an iron mace, making the thunderbolt fall from Indra's hand. Indra, being very ashamed of this, didn't pick up the thunderbolt from the ground, but Vrtrasura encouraged King Indra to pick it up and fight. Vrtrasura then spoke to King Indra as follows. So in verse 7, Vrtrasura says that, O Indra, no one is guaranteed of being always victorious, but the original angel, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. He is the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, and he knows everything, being dependent and being obliged to accept material bodies. Belligerent subordinates are sometimes victorious and sometimes defeated. So, in verse 8, Vrtrasura further says, Loka sapala jasyami swasanti vivasa vase द्विजा जीव सिचा बधा sakala iha karanam. That means all living entities in all the planets of the universe, including the presiding deities of all the planets, are fully under the control of the Lord. They work like birds caught in a net who cannot move independently. Sorry. Srivasi Goswami in his purport says, Paradhinatam eva. All are under the Lord's control, Paradhina. No one is independent. And the Purusha, the angel, and Prakriti, the angel, are under the control of the Lord, for it is by his supervision that everything works systematically. Not seeing the hand of the Supreme in every action, a fool considers himself as the ruler and controller of everything. When one understands, however, that the real controller is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is freed from the relatives of the world, such as distress, happiness, fear, and impurity. Similarly, Vrtrasura says, Jatha dharmayi nari यथा पत्रमयो मृगः एवं भूतानि भगवन् ईशतंत्राणि विधि भो. O King Indra, as a wooden doll that looks like a woman, or as an animal made of grass and leaves, cannot move or dance independently, but depends fully on the person who handles it. All of us dance according to the desire of the Supreme Controller, the Personality of Godhead. No one is independent. The purport Srila Prabhupada Maharaj says, and this is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila, 5th chapter, text 142. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arsa Vritya Jarjachina Achaya Techa Karanvritya. That means Lord Krishna alone is the Supreme Controller, and all others are his servants. They dance as he makes them to do so. So, again, Vrtrasura says in verse 13, that Ayu Sri Kirti Aishwaryam Asisa Purushasya Jaha Bhavanti Eva Hi Tatkale Jatha Nicho Viparjaya. That means just as a person not inclined to die must nonetheless give up his longevity, opulence, fame, and everything else on the time of death, So at the appointed time of victory, one can gain all these when the Supreme Lord awards them by His mercy. So in the purport, Sri Vishwanath Thakur says, long life, wealth, fame and power, that is Ayuradi, appear according to favorable time. Opposite, that means death, poverty, infamy and weakness, mrityu, daridradi, only by his will. So, by 18 to 22, Indra was astonished in the presence of Vrtrasura, his enemy. He says in verse 19, Aho Dhanava Siddhosi, Jasyate Matir Idrisi, Bhakta Sarvatmanatmanam, Shrudam Jagat Ishwaram. Indra said, O great man, demon, I see by your indiscrimination and endurance in devotional service, despite your dangerous position, that you are a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super soul and friend of everyone. In the purport, Prabhupada Maharaj says, an unalloyed devotee is sure to return home back to Godhead. In verse 22, it is said, Jasya bhaktir bhagavati haro nishreyase svare vikridata amritam bhado kim ksudrehi khatako. That means a person fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord, Hari, the Lord of the highest auspiciousness, swims in the ocean of nectar, Amrita. For him, what is the use of the water in small ditches? That means, Mr. Prabhupada Maharaj says in the purport, that any material happiness is like water in a ditch, whereas the spiritual happiness eternally enjoyed in the spiritual world is like an ocean of nectar in which a devotee wants to swim. This is we are sharing this nectar from Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus Indra and Vrtrasura not only fought, but also engaged in philosophical discourses. Then they began to fight again. As we see in Mahabharata war also, the Lord gives philosophy to Arjuna, Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, Vrtrasura is giving lessons to whole mankind. So in this way, in the fight, 23 to 35, the 13th verse describes how Indra kills Vrtra. This time Indra was more powerful and he severed Vrtrasura's remaining arm. Vrtrasura then assumed a gigantic form and swallowed King Indra, but Indra, being protected by the talisman known as Narayan Kavacha, was able to protect himself even within Vrtrasura's body. Thus he emerged from Vrtrasura's abdomen and severed the demon's head from his body with his powerful thunderbolt. The Lord says, Ayudhana Vajra. This is a opulence of the Lord. So severing the demon's head took one complete year to accomplish. Then verse 35 it is said that Vritasya Dehan Niskrantam Atmajyoti Arindama Pasyatam Sarvadevanam Alokam Samapadyata. That means, O King Parikshit, subdue your enemies, the living spark that came forth from Vrtrasura's body and returned home back to Godhead. Back to Godhead. While all the demigods looked on, he entered the transcendental world to become an associate of Lord Sankarsana. That is perfection, highest perfection. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada Maharaj says, actually it was the body left by Vrtrasura that was cut to pieces by Indra. Vrtrasura himself was not killed. In his original consciousness, Vrtrasura returned home back to Godhead to become an associate of Lord Sankarsana. Here the word alokam means the transcendental world, Vaikuntha Loka, where Sankarsana eternally resides. In this way, there is the description in the 12th chapters, and next we will discuss 13th chapter, which discusses how the sinful reaction Indra had to bear. So thank you very much for listening to this lecture, and please don't forget to subscribe, share and like our channel and get the blessings of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna